Hey, this is Samar Newsome, and you're locked into the Musician Shed podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, a dope, amazing musician that I've had the pleasure of working with in passing, Mr. Pete Powers. Is it Peter or Pete?
Whatever, it's cool.
Peter, what do you like? Pete. What do you go by?
Most people.
What do you make them sign your checks as?
Checks is Peter. I even give him the middle initial there, Peter L.
Peter L.
All my friends call me Pete, and that's totally cool. Yeah.
Very good, man. Well, pleasure to see you again, man. And we're not on a gig this time.
Yeah, I know.
But it's good to see you, man. So listen, man. I've got to see you not only on gigs and got to see your work, but also got to see you on social media, kind of going through your regimens and stuff like that, which I think is important. And just really what we talk about here on the Musician Shed podcast. Tell the people who you are, what you do,
sure.
And kind of some of the places where you've been.
Yeah. So my name is Peter Powers. I'm a music director, musician, composer, arranger, all of that. Multiple instrumentalist, dual instrumentalist, keys and bass, and grew up in New York and love what I do. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What part of New York did you grow up in?
Manhattan, Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with Alicia? No, I'm just joking.
Right.
Hell's Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Did you see the Broadway show?
No, but I do want to check it out.
That's about you. No.
Yeah, exactly. My hometown. I know about Alicia. I knew she grew up there, and knew different peoples in her circle, like Ray Chu, who helped her when she first started out.
Right.
Part of my journey as well.
Now, was she ahead of you, or like she's older than you?
I think she may be a couple of years older than me.
Got you. Now her journey's pretty dope. I'm curious how many people because I don't know too many people who are grew up in Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? That's a unique place to grow up.
Yeah.
What was how did you find music in Manhattan?
It was great because I was walking distance from everywhere. Mm-hmm. I didn't even have to take the train where we lived. I could 10-minute walk to Times Square. Back then, Colony Bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
I could walk there. Yeah. I could walk to Central Park. I could walk to the theater district.
Right. Oh, so you were accessible to everything.
Yeah. And that was all my life. I grew up there. My parents had an apartment there, and when I became a young adult and moved out, got my own place actually in the same high-rise building that I grew up at.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great, man. People always talk about what they talk about in Manhattan. It costs a lot. It's expensive to live there, and you don't get a lot of space. Was that true?
Yeah. I mean, it depends where you live, and if my parents had. I never thought that we didn't have space, but it was all I knew again.
Right.
Saying? The one thing that was foreign to me was having a car.
Okay.
Which was never part of my life. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I drive everywhere.
Yeah. That's crazy because in Jersey you just need a car. In other places you really need them. L.A., Atlanta.
Yeah.
You're not going nowhere.
But music is accessible to music. When I got older, I was gravitated towards music young.
Yeah.
But as I was sharing earlier, I became involved at my church and grew into a position there.
Okay.
And I didn't really gig outside of the church in those early years.
Right.
But as I got older, met my wife there, got married, and then branched out as an adult.
Yeah.
I was already in a place in my life where I had family responsibilities.
Yeah.
So I didn't get out as much to explore music once I really wanted to because of family responsibilities. So I wasn't going to jazz clubs as much. Even when I was at school, one regret is I wish I networked a little bit more or was able to network a little bit more.
Right. No, that's cool. What? So when you start, what was your first instrument?
Keys.
Okay. Dope.
And I actually went to New School as a jazz piano major.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
How was that? How was no school? Did you get to study with like Glasper or something?
Glasper was a couple of years ahead of me.
Okay.
And we met a couple of times in passing because towards the end of my time there, I got an internship at Blue Note Records.
Dope.
So he was already signed at that time. So he would come through from time to time, and we met at the offices.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy when my cousin first told me about New School. I'm like, New School? I never heard of that. Like, honestly, it wasn't really on the map like that.
Yeah.
Everything was like Berkeley.
Yeah. Oh.
And, and what's crazy, I saw him go to New School, and literally the network he built there was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, he's 2 Grammys in right now. You know what I'm saying? And so like, and all because of that network. You know what I'm saying? And so I was fortunate to send one of my students there because I'm like, yo, I saw what it did for my cousin.
Are you talking about Dave?
Dave Drake.
I saw you talk with him. So, I met Dave too one time. We have he was touring with Kehlani.
Yeah.
And they were opening up for Demi Lovato.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine is Steve Styles.
Oh, okay.
You know Steve?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was her MD at the time, and,
nice.
And I got to watch what they do behind the scenes.
That's fire.
Yeah.
So again, one of those things that, again, Berkeley has that reputation, period. Mm-hmm. But there's other places. There's other ecosystems where if you're a part of them, you're in a circle. And to me, that circle is strong. Honestly, there was a time when I felt like Berkeley's reputation was kind of weaning a little bit. Not that anybody there is bad. They still got ridiculous musicians coming through there. But I just felt like, even I had talked to some Berkeley people and they would say that, you know what I'm saying? And so, but you still see amazing ones like, Kev Camp, Laderick,
so many.
Yeah,
Justin Raines, Charlie Puth, all Berkeley guys.
Oh yeah, all some dope guys. So so now you went to New School, you went there as a keyboardist, right? Now I've seen you playing bass. How'd you get into the bass?
That's the funny thing. Piano was my first instrument. Okay. And again, I was like a 12-year-old kid going to this church with my mom, and they started a Saturday morning music program.
Oh, dope! Like teaching music?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fire.
So that's how I learned, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I love
churches. You need to start a music program.
Yeah,
you want musicians? Grow them in your church. You can do that. That's a very easy low lift. You know
that's me. I'm a product of that for sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's an easy way to just kind of create your band for years, actually.
Exactly.
We got some to choose from now.
So yeah, I grew a couple of years of that. Literally 2 years after my first lesson there, they invited me to play aux keys on stage.
Wow. Okay, that's dope.
And did that for a few years, and it grew into, look, we see your talent, we see your gift, we want to start honoring you, and we're going to put you on staff, and nice. It became my job, and I grew into that, and I was very happy. And so I started on keys through that church program, started playing aux at the church, and 2 years into learning keys, I started to fall in love with bass from the distance. I had never touched one.
Wow.
But I'm watching our bass player in the band, like, what he's doing over there looks fun.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine that would feel good to play, to hold.
Yeah.
Like, and there's something personal about an instrument that you hold rather than an instrument that you walk up to and just sit at and touch, right?
I got you.
So I was drawn to it, and eventually when I finally did get my first bass and start learning, it didn't disappoint. I was like, man, this is exactly what I thought it was going to feel like, and I love this.
Nice.
So I went through seasons where I kind of let keys fall by the wayside and just focused on bass, and then I went back to keys. I would go back and forth, but I never fully dropped one over the other, and that was part of the reason why when higher education came up, I could have gone as a bass student, but I felt like keys would give me more like learning theory and being able to visualize things on the keyboard, and it would be more universal.
It's the whole music palette versus like a specific range. Yeah.
So like if I could hone in on keys here, it'll be easier to translate everything I learn here to bass on my own.
That's right.
Rather than vice versa.
Yeah.
The other thing was, it was a very traditional program, and although I respected upright, it wasn't really my thing. I wanted to play groove patterns and play electric only. Yeah. So eventually I did go and take a few courses at the Collective as well as a bass student. So
dope. You know Dimitri?
Tall bassist?
Yeah, the tall bassist.
I know of him. We've never met.
I'll play with him a few times. Yeah, man, that dude is ridiculous. And he carries the upright.
Yeah, I'm a huge Charlie Puth fan. We've mentioned him before. So I've watched them on tour when he was playing with them.
That dude is ridiculous. We used to do gigs. He used to do gigs with this band called 45 Riots. And, we would see them on the because I used to work with a sound company with them. So, I would see them, him playing like the Cocktail Hour and all. I mean, he could play everything. Then when I was MD at CCC, I brought him in a few times, and he ain't disappointed. Joker's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but because you brought up the upright, and I'm sure in jazz you kind of got to play upright. That's just standard. But So your outcome out of that was what? Like, you got your keyboard skills and your theory and stuff. Like, how did that translate into your next move when you got out?
Well, I mean, it transformed me. Like, I knew how to play, I knew how to read before that, but the knowledge of jazz theory and going to that next step really changed my life. Like, chord structure, like chord voicings, harmony, all that.
Yeah.
It was like night and day. So like I would never, and I was not one of those guys who had it like that where I had a full scholarship.
Right.
So I'm still paying my way through.
Oh, I hear
but I don't regret it. I don't regret it because it really did change my life, and I'm really grateful for everything that unlocked here through that.
I always say, and I think I've said on here before, that you can learn and you can get an education on the job too. It's not like you can't get an education or like just with a good mentor, because a good mentor, somewhere along the line, one of your mentors or their mentors studied somewhere, somebody studied. And so what they're giving you is organized information, because that's the thing. To me, formal training, what it gives you is organized and well put together information versus you learn, a couple of chords here, you learn a scale here, or you learn some practice techniques in between. But the formal knowledge, I think, is important. And I mean, again, people learn without it. If you determine to learn your instrument, you can learn your instrument.
I agree.
What do you say to those who are thinking like, should I go to school? Should I just go learn, get a good mentor? Because also you got to find the right mentor, because I don't find that there's a lot of mentors out there, to be honest, these days. But what's your thoughts on that?
I would say school is not for everybody. For me, it was. So I'll always stand by it. Like, I don't think I would be the musician I am today without the knowledge that I got there. But it depends. It depends on what you want to do. It depends on where you are in life. If you have the time, if you have the resources, you can definitely hone in, like you said, and get with a really good mentor and get the same benefits out of it.
No, for sure. And these days, people have YouTube University, where honestly, I don't know that there's anything you can't find on
right. But again, it's also
it's
like
not organized.
Exactly. The organization.
So you might find something over here, and you like, and that's the other thing. When you find organized education, it's in levels. So it's like, what's your level 1 versus your level 10? And YouTube, you might find something at level 10 that they're calling 1, which assumes that you knew some things. I always talk about my when I went to Mason Gross, my first college, it was assumed that you knew how to do so many things that I didn't know how to do. I wasn't good at reading. I wasn't good at, and it was assumed because I just had to notice these things and say, okay, I see what the problem is here. It's a majority of instrumentalists in the program. Like the vocal part was so small, and I was there for vocals. So there was I could see a reasonable assumption.
That reminds me of the story. I went through some of that too. When I got into new school, first of all, I don't know how I got in, but I got in.
You know how you got in.
All I knew was like church music, hymns, right? Seventh chords, 3-note voicings, things like that, right? But I got in. My reading was horrible. I could get by, but it wasn't proficient by any means, right? So that had to grow. But I would be thrown into ensembles at school, and the great Reggie Workman, who was at New School faculty, and like for whatever reason, I was put into his ensemble.
Oh wow!
And I remember one of the early days, I'm at the piano, and he's like, "Give me a pedal there. Give me a pedal there."
You don't know what he's talking about.
I don't even know what he's talking about because I'm still, like you said,
You're
like
learning,
they
right?
assume certain terminology, certain things. I'm looking at my feet. And I'm like, pedal.
Do I just play the pedal?
Yeah. But he was very gracious, and I was in his ensemble multiple times over the course of multiple semesters, and it was a great experience at the end.
That's cool. I mean, that's how you learn, though. I mean, people are afraid to make mistakes, but mistakes is really how you learn. I mean, think about it. If you didn't have formal training, then the mistakes would be your training. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta leave room for that, and it's good that you even had that in your story. I mean, again, you get the humility of it, which also allows you to prepare and go learn. Now, okay, let me go learn this thing he was talking about. I ain't know what he's talking about. I talk about my boy, this dude Brandon McCune. You know Brandon McCune, dope keyboardist that I met at Mason Gross, and he used to always yell, "Go work on your 2.5s. Go work on your 2.5s." I didn't know what he's talking about. I used to be like, all right, cool. I don't know what he's talking about. But like later, I understood like he was like just saying like that's such a simple idea and concept in jazz, gospel, whatever. 2.5s. It's like, you're gonna almost always play a 2.5-1 change somewhere. So understanding it, and I was just like in hindsight, I'm like, okay, he was just telling me something that he felt like I wasn't strong in at the time, because we were playing at for the gospel choir at Rutgers. Now at this point, I was at Mason. Oh, I was at Mason Grove at Rutgers. But for me, I needed somebody to break it down even more, and so that's why when I left, I went to a school that was primarily singers, choir college, which literally it had like 300, 400 students total, and most of them were either singers, organist, or piano. That's really all the 3 majors they had besides education. So as far as instrument, most of the instruments were vocalists. And so they were perfect for somebody like me. And I mean, and then I thrived there. Like, oh, okay, this is where I needed to start from. And then reading made sense to me. So for you, that do you feel like New School kind of gave you some of that navigation when you said you came in shaky?
I definitely came in shaky, but again, there was something about it that I was like a kid in a candy store. Even from the days before I even applied to the school, when the catalog came in, when back in the day when we had catalogs, everything wasn't online, and I was looking at the course offerings and what it covered. Like, it lit something in me. I was like, I want to be in that. I want to learn that. I want to learn this. I want to learn that. So yeah, I wasn't the best technically. I wasn't the best reader. I didn't know all the terms. But there was uncomfortable moments for sure. But because I loved it and I was eating it all up and I was absorbing everything, and I caught up to speed.
That's
I caught up to speed.
good,
Yeah.
good.
And
then you had to put some work in.
Definitely.
What I remember practice rooms
Mm-hmm.
at college, and it took me a while to really like dial in the focus because it's noise in my school. It was just noise. Like you hear everybody, you hear all the people singing in the next room and stuff like that, and you just got to lock in regardless. What was your practice regimen, and even like then to now, like what's the difference?
I back then, I mean, everything was structured. So like I definitely had things that I needed to work on a week to week basis.
Like that was deliverables for school, for class and stuff like that.
So that helped me.
Okay.
And that was what I focused on when I was there, whether it was getting more acclimated with modes of the melodic minor.
Yeah.
Whether it was ear training, and I would literally have to sit there and play one note and be able to sing a third above it, or sing a flat seventh above it, or whatever. And so all that takes time to develop, and part of the courses were meeting with a private teacher.
Yeah.
So just for personal development. So like part of the curriculum was private lessons every week. Yeah. So I always had stuff to work on, and the structure was there for that. As far as what I do now, I definitely still have to put the time in when I'm prepping for upcoming gigs or whatever. But I'm not able to do the whole like 8 hour a day. Just for my development. I never really was, like I said, because I was already married with a young child when I went into school.
Oh wow, okay.
Because when I went into school was after my first church experience.
Got you. Was that kind of what made you want to go to school? Like, okay.
Actually, it overlapped a little bit. It was towards the end when I started, and I had the encouragement of my leaders and pastors there.
That's good.
But my very first church situation ended before I finished schooling. Okay. So I was able to finish it up and then, start branching out.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now tell us about your first church situation. Like, how was that? I mean, I can remember mine. I have several. So, but what was your first, like, what was that first thing like? Because you said you started in a program.
Yeah,
so
I was 12 years old. To go from
a program to actually being hired, what was that like? And how did you develop at that church?
Well, I'm the first musician in my family. I didn't come from musical parents. They were very supportive of me. So when I started falling in love with music, they were like, go for it. So I always was thankful and appreciative of that. When I started lessons at 12. Okay. And at 14, I was invited to play for Sunday services. Nice. Aux keys. What a friend of mine, he came up with this term called secret aux.
Tell us what secret aux is.
Secret aux is I had the headphones on and I could hear the mix and hear myself in the mix, but I was not in the house. And that's fine. I was developing and I knew that.
That's actually cool though. Especially if they use it for development. That's actually dope because it gets you acclimated to how the service goes without the full pressure of like, I played the wrong note. Well, nobody heard your wrong note. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you get to kind of like experiment a little bit, but also you probably have a structure like we need you to play this and, you get to figure it out. That's
and
they
didn't lie to me about it. I knew what the deal was but I welcomed it. And
you were on secret aux?
I knew I was learning.
I ain't never think of that. That's actually smart.
So I did secret aux for a little while and it became real aux.
And like, you know what? At playback, we heard what you did.
Yeah.
And then especially there, because I'm sure they were, I don't know, but I would imagine they were probably recording or at least somebody's listening to hear what you're actually doing.
And then, it grew from there. And I always was the voracious learner, even in those early days. So it grew. I was playing like brass patches. I was playing string patches and organ. an actual B3, learning how to operate a B3, and then main keys eventually. And
now, did they still have that Saturday program during all this time too?
It did go for a few years, and then it fizzled out. I actually think I might be the only
product,
the only success story of it. Yeah.
That's all right. One, it was worth it. So that's cool, man. So what? So now you transition from there. Well, actually, were you MD there too, or you just kind of just graduated to keyboard player?
I graduated to like the main keys, and then a couple of years later, graduated to bass there as well.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So how did
you transition that?
Well, I was already playing keys for a couple of years, and that was when I started to fall in love with bass, and was like,
I actually love bass too. So it's funny you say that.
So like following our bass players all around, asking them questions, touching their basses, and our music director at the time, she saw that in me, and she actually bought me my first bass.
Oh wow!
And little practice amp.
She had a nice salary. No, I'm just
It was like an old used Ibanez, but it was my first bass, and that grew as fast as I grew on keys. Being self-taught, I was like, oh, I know these notes here. Mm-hmm. As long as I know what these open notes are, I can figure out what these notes are by climbing up and counting up, and then so I was my own teacher from a keyboard player onto bass in the beginning, and eventually I became the main bass player there and held that for a few years.
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool. So now you talked about a sudden change from that, because that was probably like home for you.
It was home.
And so to make a transition from that as a father, husband, what was that like?
It wasn't easy because it was unexpected.
Right.
And I never hustled. I never gigged. I had met people and got offered gigs, but never wanted to gig outside the four walls of my church. And even after I had started school, I still had that mentality in my first couple of years of schooling.
Wow.
So when it happened, it was unexpected. And as I said, I was married. We had our first son, who was 1 at the time. Mm-hmm. And we were put in a weird situation where we really had to figure things out, and it wasn't easy, but God got us through it. And I wouldn't be where I am today if that didn't happen.
Right.
So
right. And I always talk about, I hated all of my bad situations that I had to go through, or my breakups, as they will, or just leaving, because a lot of times you don't want to leave, but God is shaping you in those moments. And that's, in hindsight, it's easy to look at it and say, okay, God, I see what you're doing. But in the moment, oh my gosh, it's frustrating. It's difficult. It hurts. You know what I'm saying? And so I can resonate with that. But again, God has a bigger plan. And so, those things shape who you become. Yeah. And so tell us where you are now, what you do now.
So after that, I bounced around a little bit. Okay. So I have to tell a little bit of that to explain where I am now. So I did the whole Sunday thing of finding other churches to play at, because that was, and that's your
first time doing it.
Yeah. So then I had a season where I was driving all over the place across multiple states to do 3 or 4 different churches in the same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a hustler.
I started hustling, and then I finished school. I got the internship, and I was at Blue Note Records for a while. The internship extended after I graduated. Nice. So I was there for about a year and a half. And thought maybe this could be my job. And it became a temp salaried position there. Mm-hmm. Then I had met at my first church, we had a revolving door of musicians who came in and out too. So through some of those guys, I had met Ray Chu.
Oh wow!
From the Apollo. Back then, he was still at the Apollo in Harlem. So I was introduced to him. He heard me play, and he he put me on his radar, and
Nice.
some of those offers were coming in from him
Wow.
when I was still at church, and I was like, no, I can't do it, because
Right.
I didn't know. But
now, were you like, was it some religious conviction or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and not necessarily. Everyone has their own convictions. Everyone has their own reasons for saying yes or saying no. I would say it's not right or wrong. It's very individual.
Yeah, I feel like when you're young, there's a lot of people who will try to say, no,
that was definitely
the Lord
happening.
don't want you to do that.
Happening, but
it's sin out there. It's sin everywhere. It's sin in here too. But I get it though. They're just looking out for you.
I say all that to say, like, after when I was in that stage of my life, after that unexpected closing door, one guy who reached out to me was Artie Reynolds.
Yeah, Artie. Yeah.
Ray's bass player.
Yeah, that's my guy. I played with him for years.
Yeah. And at that time, he was getting started playing on his first Broadway show.
Oh, wow.
And he was at the point where he was settled and he needed to find a sub so that he can take some time off and do other things. And
got you.
It was very particular. They needed someone who could play in a pocket and feel good and not sound like a typical Broadway musician, because this was a show called Hot Feet.
Okay.
And it was all the music of Earth, Wind & Fire, which is very groove.
That's fire.
Yeah. So he needed someone who could play in the pocket. He needed someone who could read.
Yeah.
And someone who could play synth bass. Nice. And not many people have all three of those.
Yeah.
So
that's dope.
My name came up, and I ended up becoming a sub on that show.
Fire.
And the show didn't last, but the music was incredible.
I can imagine.
And it was a great experience for me too, because I was right in that stage where I was like, what am I going to do? And it opened my eyes up to the Broadway world.
That's dope.
So the saxophonist on that show was a saxophonist for an artist named Peter Sincotti.
Okay.
And he was a jazz influenced pop rock artist, like singer-songwriter.
Okay.
And I ended up auditioning and getting that gig and touring around the world for the first time.
Nice.
And did a few more Broadway things, and then as things really picked up and I was traveling a lot, playing with lots of people. But my little one was 3 and 4 years old now at this point.
Yeah.
And
it was like,
yeah. I had to go out the door and see tears in his face. And so I had to make a change, and decided to close off a whole lot of opportunity musically to put my family first.
Yeah.
So I came back to figuring out, what do I do? And I started going back to find something that was not even in the music field.
Wow.
And went back to school, took a job, took another career, not even music related. Wow. I worked in this career for like 10 years. I went back to playing in church. I found a church that I could play at.
Gotcha.
And
so you still had an outlet?
I still had an outlet, but I was home.
Yeah.
I was there for my family, and I was able to support them with something that was consistent.
Gotcha.
And that was what we needed. And I see a lot of musicians out there who are in a similar situation, but make a different choice.
Yeah, they trying to hold on to the gig, which the gig is cool, and there's layers or levels to what you can do. Like you said, you found a church job and then still just got a career so that you could kind of balance things out. So, but some people, like you said, they just go, I'm going to just live on the edge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then families break up, and it's the saddest thing to see.
Yeah.
So at this church that we settled at, it became our new home church, and I became a musician there. And the MD who I served under, he started to see something in me and started to speak into me that you're more than this.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what he was talking about. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm just a musician.
Right.
And that's what I love, and that's all I want to do.
Right.
But he said, you were built to be a leader.
Wow.
And he started pushing me in taking on leadership roles, but it was very uncomfortable.
Wow.
Like, I never wanted to MD. I enjoyed being under an MD and just playing, you know.
None of that pressure.
None of that pressure. I didn't want any of it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm working at this non-music related job.
Right.
And in this other job, it was in the health field.
Okay.
So I was in a position where I was making decisions at work that affected people's lives.
Oh, so you was already kind of in
and their well-being
role.
Yeah. And the medical choices, medications,
Wow.
you know, decisions. And in that job, I rose up to more and more leadership there.
Right.
Where they gave me an organizational thing where you choose which nurse goes to which patient. You choose which staff member takes this task. You choose how the flow of the day goes.
Wow.
You choose which room gets assigned to what in the practice, you know.
Wow.
And I didn't see it then, but I see it now that God was making me into an MD.
Right.
At this job.
Yeah, yeah.
And eventually that church is where I'm at now. Gotcha. And that MD left. And we had a period of a couple of years of interim where they didn't have a replacement.
Got you.
And everyone around me.
Did that MD go to Florida?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Everyone around me.
I know what you're talking about.
Everyone around me was like, you should do this. You should do this.
Right.
It's you. It's got you written all over it, but I still didn't see it. And I was like, nah, I'm good right here. Right.
Yeah,
I'm good right here. And it really wasn't until literally the pastor came up to me and said, I think you should do this.
Wow.
So I was like, if you're asking me to do it,
then you got the confidence. Yeah, that's cool.
So that's where I am now, and it's been about 4 years in that position.
Amazing.
And
congrats.
And I love it.
Yeah,
I actually love it. Not like it was before. Like it definitely fuels me.
Yeah,
I feel fulfilled by the role and all the tasks related to the role and everything. So
that's amazing, man. I'm happy for you. I remember you reached out once. With a question, an MD question.
I love that because I was like, I need to find out how things happen everywhere else. Like we should be networking. We should be sharing this information.
When I became MD at CCC, I wanted to, like, I knew a few people. Like I knew my boy Charles over there at First Baptist. I knew Clarence at Abundant. Lauren was at Agape, and I had a vision before I moved to this house. I said, when I move here, I want to connect with all of these guys, but it never happened. But I got to connect with Charles, and I talked to Clarence like a few times. But like I always thought like there should be a network of musical directors. Like even if it's not to give ideas away, but sometimes just to network. Like it's a different position. Like it's not what everybody thinks it is.
Right.
You know, there's a loneliness to it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not because you don't have your crew around you, but you have to make decisions on their behalf all the time. And they can look at you one of two ways sometimes in that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it isolates you a little bit from it.
You know, the tricky thing is, I was a musician there for about 13 years before I became MD.
Okay.
So I was one of the guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I became the MD, and it's a tightrope. You know, it's like I still love all these guys, and we still hang and talk on a certain level, and then on another level, you know, I'm telling them what my expectation is.
Yeah, you got to hold them accountable. Yeah. That's the hard part, man. I mean, like having to hold somebody accountable that you respect and you love actually is hard, man. And some relationships get messed up over it. Not because you're trying to, but you're just like, this is the expectation here, you know, and you're not meeting it. And again, in other places, it's probably just like whatever, you know what I'm saying? In less organized places, I should say. But when you're at a corporate situation on a church level, it's it has to be, you know, it has to make sense. And so, you know, and I remember having a conversation with someone, and I was just like, bro, like, there's what I'm asking you for is no different than what somebody's gonna ask you for on a bigger gig. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm sitting here trying to plead with you to make this decision that I want you to make. But, you know, you're just like, maybe you're a little bit immature and you're just like, nah, I don't want to hear that. And it's like, I get it, but because I've been immature.
And we all went through that.
I've been immature, man. I talk about how I used to be late. I had like a 6 a.m. service once, and I was late every Sunday. And I was like, yeah, one of these days they're just going to not pay me. But the pastor was so, like, just nice and just like, man, I just appreciate you coming. I want you to get here on time and not miss most of the service, but I appreciate you so much. I'm not going to like hold it against you. And I appreciate that. Like, at that time I needed it, but I probably needed to get fired for it. You know what I'm saying? To be honest. But what was one of your most challenging experiences in your journey?
Wow. I gotta think. Definitely those wilderness years were not easy. And when the decision had to be made to do something that was not even closely remotely related to my gifting and passions at the time. That was the most challenging. I knew that I was doing the right thing for the right reasons.
Right.
That's what kept me going. And at the end of the day, you know, it was all part of his plan to transform me into what I needed to be.
Absolutely. That's great, man. I mean, so what advice would you? So you've been through this journey, starting from being a curious musician and enrolling in a program that allowed you to develop into a silent aux player and then a main keyboard player and all of the things. I mean, it's an amazing journey. What if you had to let some other student or somebody that's interested in music know, like, what are a couple of things you can give them, whether it's advice on how to approach it, advice on how to practice, advice on who to go find? What advice would you offer somebody like that?
I would say, and I know it's a subject that you've talked about before, this idea of resilience.
Oh yeah.
It's so important to not give up. It's so important to experience setbacks.
Yeah.
And having the appropriate response to it.
Yeah.
And not giving up. It's so important to approach something and not have the idea that I know it all and I'm going to get this in the first 5 minutes. Yeah. And then when it doesn't happen, you know, not to give up, but to realize, oh, this is going to take some time, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had moments like that. I know I have. Man, I've hit the wall on different things. And in hindsight, again, it's like, okay, I needed to learn that. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember when I was asked to sub for Artie on Hot Feet. It was the best possible situation because he gave me the book and he gave me a recording to listen along with and play along with as I read the sheets. He also gave me time. I had like 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Before I was called into my first show.
And it don't happen like that.
No, it don't happen like that.
Yeah, here's the book. See you tomorrow.
Yes. So I shed that thing. I had a regimen. I would get home and I would literally spend however much time it took for me to get from the top of the show to the end of the show at least twice each night.
Wow.
And at first it would be like a 6-hour session.
Wow.
And then it would, over the weeks, I was able to do it without stopping.
Gotcha. That's cool, man.
When the transitions happen from here to here, and just page turns, timing your page turn with what you're playing and everything. Is a whole lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
But before that, I have another story.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite artists ever, growing up from a very young age, has always been Fred Hammond.
Oh yeah.
And I used to follow them everywhere whenever they would come to town, watch them play live.
And he happens to be a bass player.
Yes, exactly. I knew who the musicians were. I followed them. Like, we didn't have like internet and social media back then as much as we did, but we did have
the covers. You had to watch the videos.
Yep. Yeah. I had friends who were in other churches in other parts of the U.S. who would get me videotapes. So he came and he did a concert at my church here. Watch the video. Listening to their new arrangements and so I became a fan of Terrence Palmer, who eventually I met and we became close friends.
Dope.
But Terrence was his bass player at the time. And then at a certain point, Terrence wasn't in the band anymore. And Justin played for him.
Okay.
But no, not Justin. Justin was with Israel. It was Maurice Fitzgerald.
Okay, got you.
So Maurice Fitzgerald was the bass player who played with him. But there was a little interim season of like 2 or 3 years.
Got you.
I believe, before Maurice started playing with them. And Fred would come out to the Brooklyn Summer Concert Series at Wingate Park. And one summer, and this was during the time where I was still at my first church.
Okay.
I didn't know anything outside those four walls. I didn't hustle yet, but I knew what I liked and what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
As far as the type of music I wanted to play and had aspirations, right? So I had my bass with me and I went to Wingate Park.
Oh, nice.
And I had a friend who lived next door. So we met up out there and we were, the crew was there setting up, and,
So you look like you're supposed to be
exactly.
there.
I looked like I was supposed to be there, right? So the crew was rigging the speakers, and I love that too. Just the whole watching how everything gets done. And so they let us walk in, we hung out backstage and we sat in like folding chairs while everything was getting set up. And people started arriving. I started recognizing Fred's crew, right? And I see them taking their place on the stage, getting ready for sound check. I see the drummer, Marvin McQuitty. I see like their keys players, their guitar player, and the OG Mo Horns guys take their place up there. But I didn't see a bass player come up there. Right? So I didn't know Terrence wasn't playing with him anymore at this point. I think Terrence had gone on to play with Israel.
Okay.
But they didn't have a bass player. And they started running sound check. And then one of the Mo Horns guys spotted me back there. And he goes, "Is that a bass?" The classic story. Is that a bass? I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a bass player." He's like, "Come up here."
Wow.
What do you think I did?
I know you played.
I chickened out, man.
Did you?
I chickened out.
Oh, man. I can understand why, but still.
Listen, I was musically ready. I knew I was excited. I knew what, but what I was not ready for was what happened when I was put on the spot.
Got you. Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Which is a whole different preparation, honestly.
Exactly. And I didn't know how to prep for that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that back then, that's what it was. I learned that later.
Yeah.
But something happened in me where I froze.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you guys got this. I'm good. I'm just hanging, whatever it is you say to get out of the situation, right? But it ended up, looking back, it ended up being one of my biggest regrets in life. Wow. And one of the things that I learned the most from. Yeah. Because they did that show with no bass player. Wow. One of their keys guys had synth
to play
bass.
Like synth.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how they were prepped for that show.
Wow. And I mean, they could have still did that and still just had some bass underneath, if you ain't even have to be perfect on it. But wow. I mean, I
secret
get it.
Bass.
Huh? Secret bass. Exactly. It could have been secret bass.
No, but I often look back and wonder, like,
what could have been the trajectory?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So the thing that I did learn from that was when I feel this feeling again of being scared to do something that I'm not comfortable in doing, do the opposite.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So
because I think you were probably afraid of failing, afraid of making a mistake, which people make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
So that brought me back to Hot Feet with Artie.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, yeah. Something you might not be comfortable with, but wow.
Yeah. And then even to where I am today, over the course of the pandemic, when everything shut down, God gave me a new love.
Wow.
I started falling in love with film scoring.
Oh, yeah.
And I had all this time on my hands.
Yeah.
Gigs weren't happening, churches weren't happening, and I went back to school, self-taught.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with learning how to make orchestral mock-ups.
Nice.
Like binge watching interviews with like, how did you get here? What was your story? Like, what movies have you done? And looking at catalogs, and it's something that I really aspire to do. And I actually have one IMDb credit under my name, so I'm very happy about that. The first one, and not the last one. But
absolutely,
that's really what's next for me.
That's cool, man. That's great. I mean, I see a lot of musicians evolving that way. A good friend of mine did a Netflix thing during the pandemic, composition for a film, and we talk all the time about stuff like that. I'm working on my own catalog of music for TV and movies new. So I definitely understand that. And, orchestral composition is something that for me takes a little while because there's a science to it, and an art to it. But just songwriting, same thing. Like, just whatever it is. I feel like that's, as content becomes bigger, that becomes more of a valuable thing to have as a musician, especially with all of these different ways of mimicking musicians they have now. I mean, it's crazy now in terms of what they're able to produce. And that coupled with the audience is really kind of like, I would say, what would be the best way to say it? They're, in my opinion, the quality is not as important to the audience as just the quantity. Like, so, you have millions, maybe even more songs available now. So people are just like, whatever, it's there. Whereas like, when people go and buy a album, a record, it's because they want a certain quality. Or if you got high def sound system, that's because you want to have a certain quality. But other people like MP3 is cool. You know what I mean? And so, and that's majority of people. Yeah. It's like an MP3 sounds fine. But those of us who know is like, nah, there's higher quality than that. So I think with where things are going from a musician standpoint, from my own perspective, scoring is just a thing that has always been legit, and it always will be. Yeah. Whereas if you create in music, you write in music, there's fads to that, and the music industry is so bad now anyway. So, but yeah, I like it, man. I'm glad to hear that, and I did get to hear one of your pieces. I think you had something on when you did your first composition, your first orchestral composition. I remember when you posted about it.
There's stuff online. I try to post as much of what I create as possible.
Now, how often are you on that? Like, are you doing that regularly?
I need to get back on it.
I got you. So you had more time.
I had more time. Definitely pre-MD days.
Got you. That's all right. Listen, you get back to it.
It's a passion, and I definitely want to, in a perfect world, that would be my full-time thing.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. Well, you got a good full-time now. So
yeah, I'm happy.
You'll find time.
Yeah.
But man, listen, it was a pleasure having you here. I'm so glad you came. And where can they see you? Do you want people to come see you at your at your church?
So I'm blessed to be music director for Christ Church, and the website is Christ Church USA. Nice.
How many locations y'all have?
We have 3 locations.
Okay.
In Jersey. So I manage 3 different teams simultaneously on Sundays, and we also stream every Sunday. And it's a great church, great people, great atmosphere. Yeah.
You know, my mom was a psalmist at that church.
Yeah.
When they were Tabernacle of Love.
Tabernacle of Love.
Yeah. I remember they used to have services in the Holiday Inn on Route 22.
Those were before my days.
Yeah. Those are way back in the day. But it was, I mean, listen, it's great to see.
They're about to celebrate 40 years.
Yeah. I was there some 40 years ago, probably.
Crazy.
As a kid. And they used to have nice kids, youth church. Mm-hmm. So I remember being in youth church with his daughters. But yeah, I mean, the amazing people. So it was great to have a historical reference to them and see where they are now. But listen, man, it's a pleasure having you here. I appreciate you, man.
Here. Thanks so much.
God bless you and continue to bless everything you're doing. I can't wait to see more IMDb credits with your name on it. And again, this is the Musicianship Podcast. Check out my boy Pete at his church, Christ Church. Which are you at? Specific location? Like
I try to.
You just go through. That's cool,
because I create the schedule too.
That's cool.
So I'm cool. One Sunday I'm here, one Sunday I'm there, and just make the
rounds.
Yeah, one of their slogans is uniting people to God and people to people. Another one is one church, multiple locations.
Nice.
So we try to really foster the atmosphere of we're one church. We're not 3 different churches.
That's cool, man. Yeah. So you don't have one you like better than the All right. Thank you, man.
Thanks for listening. To stay up to date between episodes, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you liked what you heard today, or if there's something specific you want us to dive into next, leave us a comment. Catch you in the next episode.